Hi everybody, today's video will be a tutorial on this very look. I was so excited about starting a brand spanking new year. I became inspired and decided to do a look to celebrate such a special occasion. If you guys are interested in seeing how I achieved this look, stay tuned. So as usual, I'm going to start out by priming my eyes with my favorite MAC paint pot in the shade Soft Ochre, and I'm applying that to my lid with my NYX B11 primer / concealer brush. And I put it on a bit thick, but it'll be alright. I'm just going in with my finger and blending it out, pulling it upward into my crease so that it won't be so harsh. Now, as you can see, my brows are already done. As usual, if you guys like my brows or are interested in how I achieve my sculpted brows, I do have a video for it. Check it out. It is also on my channel, and I will do my best to get it linked below in the description box. Just like as usual, I will have a list of the products used in this video below in the description box. I'm so excited about the new year, I just couldn't even hold myself back. I can't even remember what I was listening to, but clearly it was my jam. But anyway, I'm still just blending, and I am putting a little bit more in the crease so that I'll be able to get full pop of all the colors that I'm using. So next, I am going to take my NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil in the shade Milk, and I am going to apply that to my lid area. Oh, I'm actually going up into my crease a bit because I'm going to take my lid color up a little higher this time. So I'm just going to put that NYX eye pencil. I'm just going to put that on my lid where I'm planning to put my lid eyeshadow. It's not quite, it's going up above the lid a little bit. So the NYX Jumbo Pencil in white is just going to help the color pop more. It's such a pretty purple color. I just wanted to make sure I got as much color payoff as I possibly could because it's so pretty. And I'm just taking a makeup remover cloth, and I'm just cleaning up that mess that I got on the outside corner of my eye. Excuse me. And now I am doing an old school trick. I'm using a strip of tape just to make sure that I get a sharp, crisp little edge over there. I like to do this sometimes I don't. I guess it just all depends on the mood and the look. So now I am taking my Sonia Kashuk brush. This is a blending brush. It is a 109. And yeah, I didn't realize that I had the brush backwards. But it is Sonia Kashuk as usual. And I am using my BH Cosmetics 28 Neutral palette, and I'm using a brown. And unlike usual, I am not using MAC brown script today. I usually always use that as a transition color, but not today. I am using this brown from my BH Cosmetics palette as a transition color. I'm just popping it in my crease and going back and forth in a sweeping motion, going from that outer end of the eye all the way into the inner corner of the eye. This will make a nice transition from my brow bone highlight to the black. And I am just going to build and build and build that color until I get the desired look that I'm going for. I want to make sure that I can actually see the color difference from my brow bone highlight, the concealer on my brow bone, and that base. And next I am going into my BH Cosmetics 120 color palette, first edition, and I am going to use my Sonia Kashuk 103 shader brush. I got it right this time, and I'm going to dip it in this pretty little metallic looking purple on that second row, and I am going to pop that probably from the inner corner of my eye, about halfway across the lid, maybe a little more than halfway. You can decide. But I'm just going to build that color on until I feel I have gotten the desired look. I want to make sure that the color is packed on there so that I can get full color payoff. Okay, and next I am taking my Sonia Kashuk brush. It's a small shader brush, 112, and I'm going to dip that into the black inside the same 120 palette, and I'm going to pop that in my outer V. And I am going to go pretty heavy with the black because I want it to show up and be bold. And I am also using that tape as a guideline. I'm just going right along the edge of that tape and going up, coming in and going into the crease a little bit, just dragging it into the crease. Don't want to do too much because you'll end up with a whole lot of black, which is a little harder to control. So you just want to be easy with the black. And as you can see, I'm starting to overlap it just a tiny bit into that purple because I want to make sure that I don't have any harsh lines. I just kind of want it to fade into a different color, like an ombre effect almost. And also, I like to kind of close my lid a little bit and make sure that I get that black into all the nooks and crannies and creases in my eye, because sometimes if your eyes are open or closed, if you're opening and closing your eyes, and you'll notice that sometimes it's not in all of the creases. So you just want to adjust your lid and make sure you get it going good. And as you can see, I wiped the brush off and I went back into my crease into like these circular motions, kind of pulling that black up a little higher, and then I also began to drag the black kind of into my towards my inner lid or towards the inner corner of my eye, just to kind of bring that black over some. So I did circular motions to pull it up, and then I just kind of dragged it inward. And I did that. I didn't have any extra product on the brush. I cleaned it off on a paper towel so that I wouldn't have too much black. And right here I am just going in with, I dipped my brush back into the black and I am just patting it into that V on the outer corner. I'm not dragging it upward or inward, I'm just leaving it out in that corner so that it'll be a little darker in that one area. And I cleaned off that blending brush and I am pulling that black from the outer end of the eye into the inner corner. I'm not pulling it all the way down, just pulling it a little more than halfway. And I was using a clean blending brush, no black on it. And I am taking that 103 shader, I dipped it back in that purple, and I am just going back and adding a little bit more of that purple color back to my lid. And just going back in the black, and I am packing it a little further onto that, well, I am packing it so that it will overlap a little bit more onto that purple so that we can get a nice faded type, I guess the word would be gradient effect, just making sure that there are no harsh lines. And then I dipped that 112, or I dipped the 103 brush back into that purple, and I spritzed the brush. I used my e.l.f. makeup mist. Like I said, it's closer to me than my Fix Plus, so I just grabbed that. It has the same effect. It's just $3, unlike Fix Plus by MAC. But like I said, when you spritz the brush, it just adds a little bit more dimension to the shadow. And so I spritzed it and popped it back on my lid, and now I am taking that 112 brush and I dipped it back in the black and just going back in the corner and just dragging it a little up and inward. And I have gone back to my BH Cosmetics 28 Neutral palette, grabbed a little random shadow brush, and I took that golden color, that goldish tan color, and I am popping that onto my brow bone for my highlight, and I'm just dragging it down a little bit. And I am taking a clean, or actually I think I dipped it in that brown, and I am popping it, oh no, I'm sorry, that's a clean 109 blending, and I'm just blending that brow bone highlight into my transition color in that black, and I'm putting a little bit more of that color onto my brow bones, and I am blending them out again. Now at some point I did add a little bit more brown to the brush and go up there in that transition area to kind of soften up that brow bone highlight. And I just removed the tape, and I was struggling with that tape. That's why I was making that crazy face. And I am taking my e.l.f. lash glue, and I am going to use my Hobby Lobby glitters. I'm going to use that glitter up at the top. It's a really light purple. And I'm just opening the glue, and I'm going to apply it to the inner corner of my lid. I had this glue from some lashes that I bought from them, and they were not very good lashes, but I did keep the glue. And I dipped this little brush in my glitter, and I'm applying it to my lid. It's just on the inner corner. I'm not taking it any further. And next I'm going to do this off camera, but I'm using an e.l.f. gel liner, and I'm using a SoHo angled brush, and I applied my liner and I applied my lashes. My lashes are the Kiss brand number 11. And now I'm taking a NYX Wonder pencil. This is the lightest shade they have. They have 3 shades. This is the lightest, and I am going to pop this along my waterline. I hate doing that. That is so weird looking. I cannot stand it. It is so ugly, but that's how I'm able to get into my waterline. I have got to find a better way because this just looks crazy. But anyway, You gotta get it how you gotta get it. But just pop that on up there however you can. Now let me just say, I know you guys had to see how ratchet looking my pencil was. I got this from a beauty supply store, and they put the little sensor things smack dab on the product instead of on the plastic wrapper. And so I can't get the freaking thing off. And I'm just kind of anal about stickers and labels and stuff, and I had to give it a rest because I couldn't get the plastic off. Driving me nuts. I still have to figure out how to get it off. But anyways, I am taking an angle brush. I dipped it back into that black in that same BH Cosmetic 120 palette, and I am popping that on my lash line. I am not going all the way into the inner corner. I am just taking it a little over half, not quite the whole way. And I am taking, I believe this is my 112. Yes, this is my 112 Sonia Kashuk brush. Going back in that black and going back, trying to attack that inner, well, that outer V again. At this point, I am just eyeballing it. That's why it looks kind of like I'm winking, doing all kinds of crazy stuff with my eye. I'm just eyeballing it, trying to get it to match the other eye. I am starting on my face now. I am going to use this concealer, this MAC Studio Fix concealer. But first, I have to prime my face with my Milk Magnesia. I like to use Milk Magnesia because it is great at controlling oil. I have combination skin, but for the most part, my face is extremely oily. The only part that's really somewhat dry is from my mouth down. So I'm going to go make sure I do this first. Then I'm going to go in with my concealer after it dries, of course. And the concealer is MAC Studio Fix in the shade NW45. And I am just going to conceal under my eyes and in some other places you shall see. Just fix some of that discoloration before I apply my foundation. Alright, and next I am going to apply my foundation, and I am going to use, well, right here I'm just putting it on a little mirror because I didn't want to put it on the back of my hand, but I am going to use my Sonia Kashuk 130 face brush, and I am just going to pop a little bit over and then I'm going to go back in and just kind of blend it in. Kind of in a stippling motion almost, but I'm just going to blend it in as best as I possibly can. And then I'm going to apply my highlight. I am using LA Girl Pro Concealer in the shade Warm Honey. And I alternate between that and Toffee, those two shades. But I'm going to apply it to the places that I want to be highlighted. And then I'm going to go back and blend it in, of course. And right here I'm just using my e.l.f. Flawless Concealer brush, and I'm using it to blend it in even more. Well, the first step I was just kind of spreading it out, but now I'm blending it in. And yes, there goes my little reminder. If you haven't already, please rate and subscribe this video. I would be so very grateful. And here we go again. I can't say it enough. And next I am grabbing my beauty sponge and I spritzed it, of course, and I'm just going to go in and blend once again. You can never blend too much. I'm just blending all the areas that I applied the concealer to for my highlight. And next I am contouring. I am using my black Radiance face powder in the shade Rich Mahogany, and right here I'm just contouring my nose. And next I am applying my blush. This is Black Radiance again. This is Black Radiance Baked Blush in the shade Plum Sorbet, I think. Something around the plum family. And I am taking my beauty sponge and I am just blending that out, of course. Blend, blend, blend. And next I am going to apply my bend eye powders. It's a mixture of topaz and the banana powder. I just mix it together and then I took my little wedge sponge and put it on top of all the places I put the highlight concealer. It is going to set the concealer and keep it from creasing. And I am taking my BH Cosmetics blending brush and I am just going to blend that out and knock off the excess. And I'm just going back in with that contour brush and my blending sponge. Just trying to get everything nice and blended. And I have completed my face. And I did record myself applying my lips, but I jacked it up, so I edited it out. I did use my NYX lip pencil in the shade Prune, and I used LA Girl lip paint in the shade Coy, and that is what I applied to my lips. I will have it listed in the description box below. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful new year and be beautiful.